Hello everyone. So today I'm going to walk you through about HTTP callout feature from Salesforce flows. Yes, you heard me right that I will be making API calls from flow directly without writing a single line of code. So here I have a demo which I will just show you quickly. This is nothing but it will show you the exchange rates of multiple currencies into Indian currency. First let's see what is the current exchange rate of United States dollar, and this data is actually fetched from the third party system where it says the 1 USD dollar is equals to 83.306 rupees. This is what we will build, and this API call will be made directly from flow using the HTTP callout feature, and we won't write any single line of code. This is built entirely using flow, using screen flow, and making the API calls. So for API calls we are actually using this third party system called abstract APIs. I will show you how you can create your account in this third party system and utilize this for your demo purpose of creating your own project. So you can see this is the API URL that we have to make call out to. This will give us the API key, unique API key for each account, and here are the parameters like base is US dollars, then target is INR. So let me change the base to euros, and if I make a request now, then it will say that base, when base is euros, the exchange rate is 88.829. You can also see it from here as well. Let me change the base to euros, and here you can see the converted rate. Let's build this feature from scratch into my another development org. First of all, let's see how you can create your account in this abstract APIs. This will actually give you the API key to perform your project basically. You have to first create your account. So if I have already created, you need to just click on this button, create an account. Once you log in into this API system, so there are several options to choose what type of API you need to use. So you will select this exchange rates one, and it will give you everything like API key, the exchange API URL, that is the endpoint. These are the parameters that needs to be fed, and you will utilize this API endpoint in your flow. If I make this request that make a conversion from USD to euros, here you can see the result. Now let's go to the Salesforce org where we will build this entire functionality using this abstract API. The steps will be very nominal. You need to just give a brief follow. So first of all, we have to do is create a named credential first of all, because this will be our basic foundation of the API calls. If once this is only created, then only we may perform the API calls. Now let's create a new legacy named credential. Let's name it as exchange rate API, and yeah, you have to enter this URL. Only the URL, not the parameters. Parameters will be provided afterwards. This is the basic endpoint URL until this. Okay, then you can select this option, and this, that's all you need to feed in this named credential. This is now created. The next step is to create a screen flow, where we will make use of this named credential. You'll get to know shortly. Let's go to flows, create a new screen flow. Screen flow, here it is, then create. So there should be first one screen which will collect the base currency, from which currency you want to perform the conversion. So we'll take it from the user itself. Let's give some name of this. It should be a text type of input. Let's drag it over here. Enter base currency, and this should be required. This is all we want to capture from the user. Now the next important step, that is you have to create one flow action where we will configure the HTTP callout. This is one of the very new feature we can say in Salesforce. Here it is, create HTTP callout Yes, now give some name, get exchange rates. So currently we are performing the configuration of the call out basically. So this is the name credential that it is going to use. This is the URL. Now click on next. We are creating a service as of now. Okay. Now let's give the name of this invocable action. Let's name it as exchange rate. The method should be get. I hope you can relate this to your Apex class where we create the HTTP request where we feed all these information like get method, the endpoint URL, and then there are certain parameters which needs to be fed. So first parameter should be API underscore key. It should be the same as whatever is mentioned in the documentation. You see, first parameter should be this API key. Then base. One thing I wanted to show, if I remove the target entirely, just I will keep the base and API key, it will give me the exchange rate to all the available currencies. You see, here you have all the currencies of all the countries basically, and here you can see INR is also there. So US dollar is converted into all the available currencies if we don't provide the target specifically. Okay, let's proceed. And here is the API key that needs to be fed while making the API call. It is a kind of string type, and it should be required when making a call out. Then the next thing is base. What should be the base currency? That is also required. It should be provided as part of the API call. As you can see, API key and base should also always be there. But the third parameter or the third option we can say is target, for which specific currency you want to see the target. It is also a string type, but let's not make it as required. It will be optional. If no value provided, then it will return all the converted currencies. Okay, and then there is an option called provide sample response. It will actually use for data mapping. So you just copy this particular response from here, whatever is expected from the third party, and feed it here. This is just the sample response and review. It will do the data structure mapping and everything on its own. See, it has already converted them into their respective data types. It's all of them are decimal type like double. Let's make it done. Now our HTTP callout configuration is complete. Let's save this. So this is the external service configuration. Now what we do is we are making configuring the action, whatever action we are using for actually performing the API call, that we will configure now. Let's name this as get exchange rates API call. This is our action, by the way. The previous one was the HTTP callout configuration. So whatever parameters we have defined over there, it will ask us all the values into this. So let's just copy the API key directly from here and feed it into our flow, because this is constant static, it is not going to change for me. But base currency, it should come from the previous screen where I have put one input element to capture the base currency. Here it is, the screen component, enter base currency. I will feed it over here because it will change every time. And then target, let's do not send target, let's retrieve all the converted currencies and make it done. Now we have to put another screen which will show us the result, basically the converted rates. So it should be like result screen, where we'll just drag the display element, display text element onto the screen, display rates. Now you will see we'll make use of that API calls response. Whatever response comes from that action, we'll make use of that. So we'll just do like this one. So whatever base currency that I have inserted into the first screen element is equals to, now you see this is my action element which is making the API call. I will just traverse through this to get my proper response. Okay. Now Under inside that you will have response code, default execution, and the result. This is the body. 2xx means the body of the response. We'll go inside that as well. And you see it will contain base element and the last updated, and one more called exchange rates. This is another node in the JSON which contains all the nodes, exchange rates basically. Let's go inside that. You see all these will be the response of my API call. So what I want to print is, let me choose INR. Okay, so inside the call out action we are going to inside the body of the response, and inside that there is a node called exchange rates. As you can clearly see, this is my entire body. Under that there is base, there is last updated, and there is a node called exchange rates, and inside that exchange rates there are all the converted rates you can see. So that what I have traversed through: the API call out action, the body, the exchange rates element, and this INR. Or you can say clearly here, whatever response have come, I will make use of that only. So one response from output, this base. So whatever base node of my response body contains, that one, suppose 1 USD is equals to whatever the converted rate in INR is. Let me just make it in bold and change the text element as well. Done. Let's save this. Exchange rate flow. This is the name of my flow. Let's save this one and activate, and we will use it in our screen. Let's use this in our home page only. Okay, edit the page, drag the flow element into your canvas here. Let's remove this one, and here we'll choose our flow. Here it is, exchange rate flow. This is the flow that we just created, right? Let's save this and let's go back to the screen. Now I will provide the base currency as USD, and it will show that converted rate in INR. So you see 1 USD is equals to, we have to update our flow to include the currency name as well here. So I'll just quickly go and update my flow that it should contain the character, or we can say the alph word INR space. Save, activate. Let's refresh the page. Now I will do the conversion for euros. So it should say 1 euro is equals to INR 88.83. Let's go back and let's say YJP, which is Japan currency, I believe. Oh no, I'm wrong. So I have to see what is the name of that currency. Okay, here I have JPY. Okay, it's JPY. So 1 JPY is equals to 0.564 Indian rupees. Now you can edit your screen element to include other currency rates as well. For example, I can put one more is equals to and put JPY, and then take the response from my API callout. I also want to display the JPY currency as my converted rate. Where is that? Here it is. Done. Save as. So now it will show me the converted rates of one currency into two different currencies. Okay, let's see. Refresh. I want to convert USD into INR as well as Japan currency. So you can see 1 USD is equals to 83 rupees, as well as it is equals to 147 Japan currency, whatever it is. So this conversion rate is directly coming from your external system, which is called abstract API, and it is real time data. It changes every minute as per the market standard. So this is how you can make use of HTTP callout feature of Flow and without writing a single line of code. We have configured the name credential which contain the endpoint details of the third party. Then we have configured this core action, Salesforce, I mean Flow's core action to configure basically the API key, the parameters that need to be passed to the API call and actually perform the API call and capture the response accordingly. So yeah, this is all. Thank you for watching.